The date from another world, the clatter of cups and low murmur of voices filled the cozy downtown cafe. It was the kind of place where people came to escape the cold, to savor rich coffee, and to watch the world outside blur under the gentle fall of snow. Jonah sat at a small table near the window, his eyes fixed on the menu, but not really seeing it. Across from him sat Varen, a woman unlike anyone he'd ever met. Her skin shimmered softly under the dim lights, a faint iridescence that shifted with every movement. Her eyes were wide, reflective like pools of liquid silver, unblinking. As they locked on his face, the waitress had just placed their meal, a simple dish of pasta and bread, and stepped away, giving them a moment alone. Jonah reached for his cup, but Varen's voice cut through the quiet before he could sip. "You will pay for this," she said firmly, her tone sharp and accusatory. Jonah blinked, puzzled. "I thought we were splitting it." Varen's lips curled into a cold smile. "No, this is a test. Real males provide food." The entire cafe seemed to hold its breath. Conversations slowed, forks paused mid-air. Some glanced at the pair with curious eyes, others with thinly veiled judgment. Jonah's cheeks flushed, but he kept his voice calm. "I'm not here to be tested." Varen leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "You disappoint me. Your kind boasts of strength and honor, yet you refuse the simplest proof." Jonah shook his head, lowering his voice. "I refuse because it's meaningless. I don't need to prove myself by buying dinner." Varen's silver gaze burned with disbelief. "In my world, honor is shown by action, by sacrifice, by providing." Jonah glanced around the cafe, feeling the weight of the stares. Then he said quietly, "I'm not your idea of a real male." The words hung heavy. Varen stood abruptly, chair scraping back loudly. "Then I'm wasting my time." She strode toward the exit, leaving behind an unsettled silence. Just as she reached the door, a low hum filled the air, barely noticeable but growing. Tiny surveillance drones, nearly invisible, whirred into view around her head. They blinked with blue lights, capturing every moment. Varen stopped and glanced back once, her lips pressing into a thin line. Then a faint crackle came through, the small device in her ear. "Mission failure," a calm voice whispered. "Prepare for retrieval." Her eyes flickered with a conflicted fire. Then she vanished into the snowy night. Jonah remained frozen, the words echoing in his mind. "Real males provide food." The phrase echoed like a challenge, a riddle he couldn't solve. As the cafe returned to normal, a woman seated nearby leaned over, voice soft but curious. "Is she really from another world?" Jonah shook his head, uncertain. "I don't know, but something about her was different 2 weeks earlier." The memory hit him suddenly, like a jolt of cold water. He'd been hiking alone in the dense forest outside the city when he heard a faint cry. Turning a corner, he found her collapsed beneath a tree, her skin glowing faintly in the dappled sunlight. She looked vulnerable, yet not human. He knelt beside her, heart pounding. Her eyes fluttered open and locked onto his. "Help me," she whispered, voice trembling. Without hesitation, Jonah lifted her gently and carried her back to his small apartment. She never gave him a name at first, no identification, no answers. She seemed confused, frightened even, as if waking from a long nightmare. Back to the present. Varen's world was unlike Jonah's in every way. She came from a dying civilization, a matriarchal society obsessed with proving worth through strict rituals of provision and protection. Her people had sent her to Earth to study human males, to determine if they were worthy, if they could be relied upon to protect the future of the galaxy. But Jonah was nothing like the heroes in her stories. He was quiet, sometimes brooding, and deeply unwilling to perform to expectations he didn't agree with. As Jonah stared out the window at the snowflakes swirling down like tiny stars, his thoughts drifted. Why had she chosen him? Was it kindness, curiosity, Or something deeper, something neither of them understood yet? He didn't know, but he felt the weight of her gaze even now, as if she was still watching him, waiting for an answer he didn't have. The cafe door opened again, a gust of cold. Air pushed snow inside. Jonah looked up but saw no sign of her, only the whisper of the past, and a promise of mysteries yet to come. Not of this earth. 2 weeks earlier, Jonah's life had been quiet and ordinary. He spent his days working as a tech repairman and his weekends hiking the wooded trails outside the city, a way to escape the noise and demands of human life. But on that chilly autumn afternoon, something happened that changed everything. Jonah was hiking a familiar path, the crunch of dead leaves underfoot and the cool breeze whispering through the trees. The forest was calm, peaceful, until a strange sound broke through. A faint cry, soft but urgent, came from beneath a thick cluster of pines. Curious and concerned, Jonah followed the sound, pushing through the undergrowth until he found her. She was lying on the cold ground, her body pale but glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Her hair shimmered silver, tangled and damp with sweat, her eyes wide and unblinking, fixed on him immediately. There was something about them, something not quite human, something that stirred both wonder and unease in Jonah's heart. "Help me," she whispered, voice trembling but clear. Without hesitation, Jonah knelt and gently lifted her into his arms. Despite her strange appearance, she felt warm and fragile, like someone lost and afraid. Back at his apartment, he made her warm tea and wrapped her in blankets. She said nothing about where she came from or who she was. Days passed. Varen woke, slowly, struggling to understand the world around her. The simplest things fascinated her, the taste of tea, the softness of fabric, the flicker of light from a burning candle. She tried to speak, but found the human language difficult and foreign. Jonah became her teacher, patient and gentle. He helped her with words, with customs, with the rhythms of earth life, but Varen was not just a confused traveler. Her body bore strange scars, thin, almost like circuit lines etched beneath her skin. Her eyes could see things Jonah couldn't, detecting subtle shifts in the air, colors beyond normal sight. She did not remember much of her past, only flashes, images of a vast city built among the stars, harsh, powerful women commanding respect and fear, rituals of proving worth through strength and provision. One evening, as they sat by the window watching the sun set behind the city skyline, Varen finally spoke. "In my world," she said, haltingly, "strength is shown by giving. The one who provides shows they protect." Jonah looked at her quietly. "That's why you said I should pay," he said. Varen nodded slowly. "It is a test." Jonah smiled bitterly. "I don't believe in tests." Varen's gaze hardened. "Your kind will be judged." Jonah's mind raced. Who were her people? What was this judgment? And why was she here? He didn't have answers. Days later, Varen slipped out one night. Jonah woke to find her gone. He searched the apartment, then the neighborhood. Finally, he found her beneath an old oak tree, holding something small and glowing, a strange artifact unlike anything he'd ever seen. "Where did you get that?" Jonah asked, voice low. Varen looked at him, eyes wide and troubled. "It is from my world," she said. "It holds secrets. It should not be here." Jonah reached out, touching the artifact carefully. It pulsed with light, responding to Varen's touch. That moment changed everything. Jonah realized he wasn't just helping a lost alien. He was part of something much bigger, something dangerous. As they stood there, a shadow moved silently across the street. A figure cloaked in black watched them, eyes sharp, calculating. Varen sensed it too. "We are not alone," she whispered. Jonah's heart pounded. The figure vanished into the night, leaving behind a silent warning. Back in his apartment, Jonah and Varen studied the artifact. It was covered in symbols, ancient and unreadable. Yet, it seemed alive. Varen's body responded to it in ways she couldn't explain. Her scars glowed faintly, and a warmth spread through her chest. Jonah's mind filled with questions. "Why did your people send you here?" he asked finally. Varen hesitated. "They wanted to see if your kind was worthy, if men could be protectors." Jonah laughed softly, bitterness in his voice. "I'm not a hero." Varen's eyes softened. "You are more than you know." That night, as they sat side by side, a quiet bond began to form. Jonah realized he was no longer alone in the universe, and Varen understood that Earth was more than just a mission. It was a chance, but danger lurked just beyond the horizon. The Watchers were closing in, and the secrets of the artifact were awakening. Cliffhanger. Varen's eyes flashed as she looked at Jonah. "We must prepare," she said, "because they will come. The hunters." Among us, the night after Varen's warning, Jonah lay awake in his small apartment, staring at the ceiling. The words echoed through his mind. They will come. Who were they? Why were they after Varen? And why was the glowing artifact so important? Outside, the city buzzed with life, unaware of the quiet storm gathering within Jonah's home. Varen sat on the couch, her eyes distant. The weight of her mission pressed on her, heavier than ever. She didn't want to drag Jonah into the darkness of her world, but she knew it was inevitable. Her people, the matriarchs, were ruthless. They demanded absolute loyalty and obedience. Failure was met with punishment. Extraction meant capture and interrogation, and now Jonah was tangled in their web. Jonah's phone buzzed. A message appeared. "Meet me at the old observatory. Midnight. Come alone." No signature. Jonah showed the message to Varen. She frowned deeply. "It is a trap," she said, "but we must know who sent it." At midnight, Jonah approached the observatory, an abandoned relic on the city's outskirts. The air was thick with fog, the silence broken only by his footsteps on cracked concrete. Inside, shadows shifted. A figure stepped forward, a tall woman with sharp eyes and a cold smile. "Varen," she said, "you disappoint me." Varen tensed. "This is Commander Lyra," she whispered to Jonah. Lyra's gaze moved to Jonah. "And you must be the human," she said, voice dripping with contempt. "The one who refuses to pay for dinner." Jonah clenched his fists. Lyra laughed. "You're more interesting than I thought." Lyra explained the true purpose of their mission. Varen and others had been sent to study humans, to assess their strength and worthiness for alliance. Failure meant exile or worse. "You disappoint me, Varen," Lyra said, "but you have grown fond of this human. That weakness could cost us everything." Varen stood tall. "I choose my own path." Lyra's smile vanished. "You leave me no choice." She raised her hand, and a pulse of energy shot toward Varen. Jonah reacted instantly, pushing Varen out of the way. The energy slammed into the wall behind them, cracking concrete. Chaos erupted. Lyra's guards appeared, moving swiftly to capture Varen and Jonah. They fought fiercely, but Jonah was no warrior. He dodged and ran, clutching Varen's hand as they fled into the night. Breathless and bruised, they found refuge in an old warehouse. Varen's silver eyes glowed with determination. "We cannot run forever," she said. "We must fight back." Jonah nodded. "I'm with you." Together they began to uncover secrets hidden within the artifact, secrets that could change everything. But the matriarchs were relentless, and the hunters were closing in. Cliffhanger. In the darkness, a shadow watched them. A voice whispered through the wind, "They have what we seek. Find them." Secrets beneath the surface. Jonah's hands trembled as he held the glowing artifact in the dim light of the warehouse. It pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat, and its strange symbols flickered as if alive. Varen crouched beside him, her expression unreadable, eyes reflecting the soft glow. "We have to unlock it," she said quietly. "Only then will we know the truth about why they're hunting us." Jonah looked up, meeting her gaze. "How do we even begin? This isn't like anything I've seen." Varen traced one of the intricate lines on the artifact's surface. "It responds to energy, life energy, strong emotions, and trust." Jonah swallowed, feeling the weight of those words. "Trust, huh? You sure this thing isn't going to explode in our faces?" Varen smiled faintly, the first real warmth since they met. "Sometimes the greatest power lies in faith." The warehouse was cold, and the distant city noises were muffled, but the tension between them was thick. Neither of them knew what the next few hours would bring, but both sensed the turning point was near. Varen placed her palm gently on the artifact. A wave of light spread, and suddenly Jonah felt a surge, a flood of images, feelings, memories, and voices, all rushing into his mind like a storm. He saw a world beyond Earth, towering cities of crystal and metal, vast fleets gliding silently through space. He glimpsed Varen's people, the matriarchs, in fierce battle, commanding fleets with sharp precision and an iron will. He saw rituals of power, the passing of ancient laws, and most strikingly, the sacred tradition of provision. Varen's voice broke through his reverie. "Provision is how we honor strength and care. The provider shows their worth by offering food, resources, and protection. It is not just about survival, it is about respect and trust." Jonah's mind flashed back to their argument, to her words about real males providing food. "It's more than culture," Varen added. "It's the foundation of our society. To refuse is an insult, dangerous and unforgivable." Jonah exhaled slowly. "I get it now. That's why your people are so angry with me." Varen nodded, eyes thoughtful. "But your refusal also shows something unexpected. You're not bound by the same rules. You choose differently. They worked." Late into the night, piecing together the puzzle hidden within the artifact. Each symbol told a story. Each glow revealed a fragment of history. Suddenly, the artifact projected a three-dimensional map of space with a blinking dot, Earth. And then another dot, faint but distinct, marked a distant star system. Varen gasped. "That is home." Jonah's heart quickened. "Your people come from that far?" Varen nodded, voice trembling. "Yes, and they will come for us." A sudden noise shattered the quiet. The metallic click of a weapon being cocked. Jonah and Varen spun around to face a new threat. A man stepped from the shadows, his face harsh and unyielding. "I am Captain Rel," he said coldly. "And I've been sent to retrieve Varen and the artifact." Jonah stepped in front of Varen. "You're not taking her." Rel's eyes narrowed. "Resistance is futile." The tension exploded into a fierce struggle. Rel was skilled, fast, and relentless. Jonah, fueled by desperation and determination, dodged and countered with whatever he could find. Pipes, crates, even his own fists. Varen tapped into the artifact's energy, summoning a blinding light that momentarily stunned Rel. Breathing heavily, Jonah grabbed Varen's hand. "We need to get out of here now!" They ran, Rel's footsteps pounding behind them. Outside, the cold air hit their faces. The city's glow was distant and indifferent. Jonah's mind raced. Who sent Rel? The matriarchs? Varen shook her head. Someone else. Someone who wants the artifact and what it can unlock. They found shelter in an old bookstore, an ironic refuge for two fugitives from another world. Among dusty shelves and forgotten pages, Varen revealed more. The artifact is a key to our past, our future, and the fate of many worlds. Jonah listened, awed and terrified. Hours later, as dawn painted the sky pink and gold, a quiet understanding formed between them. Varen's mission was no longer just about survival or judgment. It was about trust and about hope. Cliffhanger. Suddenly, the bookstore's door slammed open. A woman stepped inside, her eyes sharp, her presence commanding. Varen's face went pale. "It's her," she whispered. Jonah's heart froze. "Who?" "The one who can unlock everything." or destroy us all." The keeper of truth, the woman who entered the dusty bookstore, moved with an eerie grace, her eyes locking on Varen like a hawk spotting prey. Her name was Ceres, tall, with pale skin that almost shimmered in the fading dawn light. Her hair, jet black and smooth, framed a face that was both beautiful and terrifyingly cold. Jonah felt a chill run down his spine. Ceres smiled thinly. "Varen, you disappoint me." Varen squared her shoulders, refusing to back down. "This isn't over," she said, voice steady despite the storm inside. Ceres's gaze flicked to Jonah. "And you, human, you meddle in affairs beyond your understanding." Jonah met her stare evenly. "Maybe, but I'm still standing." Ceres's smile vanished. "Good. You will need your strength." She stepped forward and touched the glowing artifact. A surge of light flooded the room, and images began to swirl in the air, visions of distant worlds, ancient battles, and secrets long buried. Jonah watched as the artifact revealed its deepest truth. The matriarchs were not just explorers or rulers. They were guardians of a cosmic balance. The artifact was a key to a hidden power, one that could either unite or destroy entire civilizations. Varen's voice was barely a whisper. "The balance is fragile. If it falls, chaos will consume us all." Ceres nodded. "Which is why I've been sent to ensure it stays protected." Jonah shook his head in disbelief. "Then why threaten Varen? Why chase her like a criminal?" Ceres's eyes gleamed. "Because Varen has broken the code." Varen's heart pounded. "I chose to protect a human." Ceres's voice was cold steel. "That choice could doom us." Jonah stepped forward. "What if protecting me is the key to changing the future? To breaking the cycle?" Ceres hesitated, then smiled, a smile without warmth. "Then we shall see." The fragile piece shattered as the warehouse exploded into chaos. The matriarch's forces had found them. Blinding lights pierced the night, and the air hummed with energy weapons. Varen grabbed Jonah's hand, pulling him toward the back exit. "We must get to the ship," she urged. "It's our only chance." Running through narrow alleyways, they dodged patrols and energy blasts. Jonah's heart raced, not just from the danger, but from the growing bond between him and Varen. They reached the ship, a sleek vessel hidden beneath a metal canopy. Varen keyed in the access code, and the hatch hissed open. Inside, the controls gleamed with advanced technology, yet somehow familiar. As they prepared for takeoff, Ceres's voice crackled through the comms. "This isn't over, Varen. The code must be upheld." Varen pressed a button. "It's over if we say it is." The ship lifted off, soaring above the city lights. Jonah stared out the window, watching the world shrink below. Varen turned to him, her eyes softening. "You've changed everything." Jonah smiled, but beneath the hope, doubt lingered. Suddenly alarms blared, the artifact pulsed violently, the ship shook. Varen's voice was urgent. "They're trying to sever our connection." The ship lurched toward an unknown destination. Jonah gripped the armrest. "What's happening?" Varen's face was grim. "We're being pulled into the heart of the matriarch's power." Cliffhanger. As the stars outside blurred into streaks of light, Jonah realized this journey was only beginning, and the real test was yet to come. The choice that defines us. The stars outside the viewport stretched into brilliant streaks as the ship hurtled through the void. Jonah gripped the armrest, heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Varen's fingers danced over the controls, her eyes sharp and focused, yet shadows of doubt clouded her features. "We're approaching the core," she said quietly, "the source of the matriarch's power and their judgment." Jonah swallowed hard. "What happens when we get there?" Varen didn't answer immediately. Finally, she said, "We face the council." The ship dropped from hyperspace into a vast chamber carved from shimmering crystal, a throne room suspended in the cosmos itself. Around the chamber floated 9 figures, the matriarch's council. Each was regal and imposing, their forms radiant, with energy that seemed to bend light. Varen's voice trembled. They decide who is worthy, who must serve, who must be cast out. The council's leader, an ancient figure named Loraseth, stepped forward. Varen of the Earthborn, she said with a voice like thunder and silk, you have brought an alien, an unworthy human, into our sacred fold. You have defied the ancient code of provision. Varen stood tall. I chose trust over tradition. Jonah felt the weight of countless eyes on him. Then Loraseth turned to Jonah. Human, you stand accused of disrespecting our ways. How do you justify your actions? Jonah's voice was steady despite his fear. I refuse to pay because I believe true worth isn't measured by who provides food or who follows customs. It's about respect, loyalty, and the choices we make for each other. A murmur passed through the council. Loraseth's eyes glowed. You challenge the foundation of our society. Varen stepped forward. But perhaps it is time for change. Suddenly, the artifact pulsed between them, radiating waves of light. Jonah and Varen shared a look. The artifact was alive. It responded to their combined will. Loraseth nodded slowly. Very well. We will test your conviction. She raised a hand, and the chamber shifted, revealing visions of past and future, worlds torn by conflict, others united in peace. You claim trust is stronger than tradition, Loraseth said. Show us. Jonah stepped forward, heart open. He spoke of human history, how survival depended on cooperation, empathy, and sometimes breaking the rules to build a better future. Varen added her voice, telling stories of her people's ancient customs, and how blindly following tradition had nearly destroyed them. The council listened, silent and still. Then Loraseth spoke again. You have shown courage. The chamber brightened. The code of provision shall evolve. The artifact's light enveloped them all, connecting Varen, Jonah, and the council in a web of energy. A new era was dawning. Epilogue. A lesson in trust back on Earth. Jonah and Varen stood beneath a sky full of stars. The world was unchanged, yet everything felt different. Varen smiled. You taught me that strength is not only in providing, but in choosing who to trust. Jonah laughed softly. And you showed me the power of honor beyond customs. They looked at each other, different worlds united by choice. The artifact rested between them, a symbol of balance, change, and hope. Varen's voice was soft but clear. In the end, it's not tradition or power that defines us. It's the courage to change, to trust, and to walk together. Jonah nodded. Human or alien, it's the heart that matters. As they turned toward the future, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, promising adventure, discovery, and the endless possibility of connection. The end.